Okay.
Hello, it's Angela with the Interviews of Americans project. We're here right outside of Westcliff, Colorado, and we're interviewing today Santi and Laura, who have built an Earthship. So come in and let's do another interview. You can see that they have a south-facing series of windows that obviously let a lot of sun in. And look here, as you enter, their wall is made out of recyclables. So before I knock on the door, we can just take a look at their front entrance. It's nice and warm. What a beautiful door. Hello.
Hey, how'd you do?
Hi, Santi. Good.
Come on in.
Thank you. You know that we're doing interviews with Americans who are solving problems. And
Okay.
if you don't mind, I'd like to
Rusty,
ask
could you grab Rusty, please? Harry, thank you.
both you and Laura some questions about how you came to build an Earthship and the various things that you have done to construct the home. And also, if you don't mind, discussing a little bit of the issues that you had, problems that you solved. And we'll just actually, if you don't mind, we can start with how you came to decide to build an Earthship.
Well, we were very interested in being, one, self-sufficient.
Laura, come into the picture so the viewing audience can see you. There we go. Over closer. This is just such a small flip camera. Thank
We
you.
wanted to be self-sufficient. We wanted to marry ourselves with the integrity of Mother Earth. And so the Earthship concept seemed the most appropriate and applicable concept to be with. And so we saw a video of Michael Reynolds, who is the originator of Earthships, with what's the actor? Golly, senior moment.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Anyway, it was in that we were introduced to
Dennis Weaver.
Dennis
Thank
Weaver.
you.
Okay.
And he and his wife built an Earthship in Colorado, a huge one, 9,000 square feet.
My
And,
goodness.
it's all self-sufficient, self-contained, and it touched our hearts. That's what we
Nice.
wanted. So we started
I'm going to
out.
pan just to the side here just a
Okay.
little bit because I've got a little bit of glare. That's better.
Okay.
Thank you.
So anyway, we went ahead and started looking for land, and we were drawn to this land, we know, and so we bought the property. It was 12 acres, and it's south-facing on a slope, which is ideal for Earthships, because you want
Perfect.
the sun is the heating system year-round for Earthships.
Well, and you have the mass of the Earthship, which is the tires
Exactly.
filled with dirt, and that actually holds the temperature.
Let me pan just back here for the audience so that they can see what you're talking about. That you're on quite a slope. Then let's
Yes.
take a look.
Now, we actually found
Yes.
sort of a natural angle here,
Right.
and it was perfect. And to the point where we don't really get the frost here, as far as, having a small garden in front, and that the cold air drops down, so being up on a hill is actually a good idea.
Look at this view.
Russ,
I'm amazed with the interviews that we're doing, the views that people have when they've created these efficient homes. So what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, is follow you back in.
okay.
And-
First,
We can talk a little bit more as we go throughout the house, just to give people an idea.
well, the walls themselves, these are what we call finger walls.
Okay.
Those are all automobile tires that have dirt pounded into them, and they end up weighing approximately 400 pounds each. So the process is that you put the tires in place first. and then you pound the tire because you don't want to have to lift 400 pounds.
And
to
you
get
start in
position.
courses. You start with
Yeah.
the bottom course.
Right.
And what it is you have tires that are up against each other like this, and then you overlap them like that, like you would bricks. And that builds the walls. Now, there's cavities in between the tires.
Right.
So that has to be filled in with rock, dirt, whatever, newspapers, whatever you can get your hands on as filler. But it's all mass. So what we have in these walls are about 3 feet of thick wall that holds the heat from the sun
Right.
and radiates out in the winter to keep it warm. But it's also cools it off in the summertime because the sloping angle of the windows is in conjunction with the furthest point of the sun during the winter, so that there's no reflection. But at the coldest time of the year, that sun, the heat comes directly into the Earthship. And in the summer, the sun is more vertical, so there's more of a reflection of that away from the internal part of the Earthship, and so it's cooler. So it's a marvelous, very well-conceived concept of a self-contained building that's, we don't have a utility bill.
Beautiful.
It's totally self-sufficient.
It stays
Wonderful.
very comfortable.
Yeah.
It is so warm right here in this area. This is obviously your greenhouse, so I can see that you're growing a lot of your own food, which is beautiful.
September and October are actually the warmest months because the sun is coming in at a lower angle, and it's still not real cold at night, so the Earthship doesn't cool off quite as much. But when we say that, it's still, I'd say about 78 degrees in here, so
Just beautifully
not too bad,
warm.
quite comfortable. If you want to cool off, you go up into the upper level,
Right.
which is cooler.
I'm going to ask a favor of you, Laura, because would you mind just taking me back and showing me your bathroom, because I know that there's a bathroom on this floor, just to give them an idea of some of your features, because it's just beautiful in here. And I know that this is a work in progress, and our interviews are all based upon homes that are still a work in progress, but this is just lovely. You can see that the
bathroom is on the south face,
ceilings
and
are
that
quite
keeps
high.
it warm, especially in the morning. You've got sun coming in, so it's nice and warm. We don't have any kind of heating system in here. The only thing that we've got in the Earthship is a wood stove, and that's just when we don't have sun for several days. We do heat up the wood stove, but this is the guest bathroom here.
beautiful. And look, you've got live plants growing
Oh yeah.
right here. I mean, this is just absolutely lovely.
Geraniums.
Geraniums.
Love plants, so we had to have lots of plants. We've got food plants, which we grow on the south part of the Earthship, and then on the north side, because we've got planters on both ends, on the south and north. In the winter, fall and winter, we can start growing food in the north planters because we have the sun coming into those. And
Exactly.
the food really needs the full sun in order to be successful.
Right,
So-
right. Is this something that we should know about? It looks like you have, is this a battery unit?
There's batteries behind here. They're kind of defunct at this point. But the system is that we have 2 battery systems in the house. This is for the well water and for the water pressure of the house. Okay, so this is a separate, it doesn't have to be separate, but we just worked it out that way. So this is all DC power. For the pump is in the well is DC. It's a DC pump, and the pressure pump for the house is DC. So this is all an individual separate unit. For the house lights and what have you, we have another system that is converted from DC to AC, so we can have regular lights and so
Runs
forth.
through an inverter in that.
Yeah, through an
Beautiful.
This is direct current, so.
Beautiful.
Now, one of the things that is really beautiful about Earthships, if you're building an Earthship yourself, is that it takes on the personality of whoever's building it.
Right.
So,
this is charming.
This is very individualistic, and so what your audience may be seeing here is a reflection of Laura's and my, what we would do.
Right.
And what the person who's listening to this needs to understand is that each person has a certain degree of their own artistic ability that can be incorporated into an Earthship. Like this
Lovely.
door, for instance,
Right.
reflects what we've done, and it may not be what somebody else would do, but that's us. These cabinet doors is us.
Right.
And and we did little things like the toilet paper holder.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're beautiful.
And
So-
tiles, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of just personalized details.
Well, all these tiles, Laura painted, and, and there's a
Right. Let me get this way so I can show the
Yeah.
archway to the.
and
Oh yes.
there's a hobby shop down in the town nearest us, and they fired these for us,
Right.
and so
Beautiful.
you know, that's.
So you have so much of yourself built
Exactly.
into it.
And this is what the charming thing about building your own house is. It can really be yours because your heart is in it.
Well, I know that you've been working on the project for some time, and I'm always telling our viewers, because I'm kind of a no excuses person when it comes to our capability to solve problems. And, you know, it takes initiative, and people have to have a little bit of an entrepreneurial nature. I know that both of you are entrepreneurs, so that's a double joy for me to know that you both own your own businesses and you're all working together as well. But tell me a little bit about when you started the transition from where you were living to how you got here. Were you weekend warriors?
Well, we came up here and we actually built just a small house to live in, because you need to have something like that to live in. You have to be here. And we just found that out right away. So,
I'm just envisioning the number of tires. I can't even imagine how many tires are in this.
1,200.
1,200 tires.
Yeah.
And your total square footage is
It's 2680.
2680, because
Yeah.
this is a very, very spacious home.
Well, when you figure the walls are 3 feet thick, because we did use 15-inch tires. 16-inch tires, which
Two
is
35/16s.
probably overkill, but you know, we wanted a good sturdy house, and
Right.
so we did use the bigger tires, but
It gives
that's
you
not
more
necessary.
mass, too.
So you started out, you chose the land, and that came first. And then from there, you hired an individual who helped you a little bit with design, even though you could put yourselves in it totally.
We did the design, and then we had to get it done on CAD, so we could present it, you know, to get approval.
I see.
To the building department. So we did that, and we worked with Mike Shealy, who is in Black Forest, Colorado. So that actually, we made some changes, quite a few changes from our original plan.
Right.
And that was just because as you're building, it took us 11 years. We did this all out of pocket.
So you have no loan payment.
No.
And no utility payment. So you've
Right.
solved several problems for yourself right there.
Well-
you know, a good financial decision long term.
Exactly. So, I mean, we didn't want to have a mortgage. You know, we took a little bit more time because we were paying out of pocket.
Right.
And it probably wouldn't take most people that much time, but we were up here on the land, which made it workable.
Right.
You know, and so we really enjoyed every minute of it. Even though a lot of it is hard. You know,
Right.
it was hard work.
You have
and
to be
that, but
disciplined.
You do. But, you know, once you get started, and if you have the dream, you just have to follow through.
So you start with the tires, and they're delivered, and as you said, you're packing dirt into them, but perhaps you could lead us now through the other part of the house so you can explain to us how you went about structuring, and what part comes first.
Well,
what
if I-
actions come
If
first?
we can, first, the original design was all on one level.
Okay.
What we found is that the guest room, which is the construction room right now, there was solid granite that we ran into. So they told us it was either blast or make it 2 levels. We didn't want to disturb Mother Earth that much by
Right.
blasting, so we elected to go ahead and build 2 levels. And as it turned out, this was a godsend to us, because now we have more of a natural convection of the heat going through the house and going through the skylights that open up, and this gives a natural cooling system in the summer. So it was,
Perfect.
Windows in front here,
Yeah,
and then
the
we've got
windows-
skylights, which
Right.
are operable.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the air movement. The higher that you have, you know, the lowest to the highest is going to give you the most movement of air. So it's pretty comfortable. I mean, like I say, September and October are the warmest months, but it's still quite workable.
And the ceilings, how high would you say these ceilings are?
Well, in the back, what is it, about 14?
13 feet in the back,
Yeah.
thereabouts. So we don't have a great deal of pitch on the roof, and
Yeah, it's 1 to 12 pitch on the roof.
right,
Which,
but it is south facing, which the snow melts, you know, pretty rapidly because of that.
Beautiful. Well, I noticed that there's an awful lot of tile work. I just want to show our viewers that there's all of this personalized
Well,
art that's been done. Beautiful.
These tiles on the steps are from Mexico. This tile that you see in the wall is from a friend of ours who they also built an Earthship. And she did these beautiful, that's a yin-yang symbol with a bear. So, I mean,
And you've got planters everywhere. It's just so beautiful. It's so creative.
these are aluminum cans dispersed into cement, and you get a natural shape that you can create with the cans. And then you, of course, cover the inside and outside so that it becomes more of a solid look.
So that whole planter is made from aluminum cans.
Yes, and
stucco.
cement.
Lots of cement and stucco.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And all these tiles, of course, that's Laura's work. And
And here you can see I'm starting my greens now.
Right.
It's October, and those will do quite well over the winter because they're not getting full sun right now, but they will be very soon. So part of the day they're getting enough sun that we can go ahead and grow them.
most Earthships have planters only on the extreme south part of the greenhouse. What we wanted was a larger greenhouse.
Right.
So traditionally, what was it, about 6 feet?
Ours is 10 and a half.
Ours is 10 and a half. So we built planters on the north side and the south side of the greenhouse.
Beautiful.
And what is the beautiful thing about it is that during the summer, the south part is growing our food, and the north part is, sort of dormant, you might say. Then in the winter, it reverses.
Right.
This gets most of the sun back here, whereas the front ones, the south ones, don't.
So your soil gets to rest, and
Yeah.
you get to create some.
Right. We have a friend who wants to copy our design, but what he wants to do is put planters in the center as well. So
Right.
that'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
Well, would you mind taking us back through the other part of the house and maybe describe as you see fit those features that you would like the viewers to know about and how you accomplished it?
Okay. We needed handrails. That's a requirement by code. And so we decided we have a friend who could get this steel that is molded to look like wood. Okay. And all these.
Let's get up a little closer so that our viewers can see.
All this is wood from our land, with dead wood.
Beautiful.
And what we did was we drilled through, partially drilled through, so that we could stick them on these vertical metal pieces, and that made our handrails.
Beautiful.
And it turned out really nice. We like them very much.
The entire home is a piece of art in every direction that you look.
What's nice about an Earthship is after you get the hard work done, then you can start doing the creative things. And
Exactly.
that's what we really enjoyed because, I'm not going to fool anyone. There is a lot of hard work in doing the Earthship this way. There is another type of Earthship that you can do now with tire bales, which just means that you have 100 tires that are squeezed together and then wrapped in metal. In a type of cable. And actually, those are much quicker going up. I mean, we actually had to pound each and every tire in this house, so that did take some time. But, I love the ambience of this type of house, too. So it's give and take. I mean, you have more choices now.
Well, it depends upon what kind of resources and what kind of time people have.
Exactly.
But the ultimate goal is to create this off-grid opportunity because this is definitely an off-grid home, right?
And there's many ways to do that now, so which is great because I know some people are not going to take the time to pound the tires.
Right.
We happen to have the time, and we were willing to do the labor on that, so
Right.
it worked out quite well.
And as we're walking here, I'd like to take them into your kitchen area if we could. And perhaps you could tell us a little bit about, since you did run into this problem of having to change the way that you were looking at the home because you needed to go to a second floor. Just want to show them the tile work that you've done here.
Well, and Angela, you probably notice it's cooler when you get up
It's
here.
so much cooler. It is so
Because
warm there.
You're out of the sun, and so that's one thing that we really appreciate about this Earthship is we made it a little bit deeper, so
Right.
the sun actually is not in your face. I mean, if it was one level, we would have a little bit more sun coming in up here. But that way you have zones. This is the cooler zone up here.
Exactly.
So, you know, if you're feeling chilled, you can go down into the greenhouse and sit down there and read or whatever and warm
Pan
up.
behind you just a
Or you
second.
can come up here and it's a little bit cooler. So
Look at these beautiful archways. Now tell me, how did you accomplish this?
Well, what you do when you come to an end of a wall is there's two ways of doing it. One, you can stack the tires directly on top of each other, but you have to put rebar reinforcement in it so they don't slip and slide.
Right.
Because the concept is to have the tires overlap so they lock together. Okay. So what we did in the front here was we elected to use the rebar pounding in and stacking the tires right on top of each other.
Right.
Over here, what we have is half tires, where you take a tire and cut it in half and use the lip to go around the tire adjacent to it,
Oh my goodness.
and you screw it in, and that gives you the evenness right there.
well, and the reason for that too is because the tires are staggered. The way that an Earthship is built, if you think of it like bricks, so that you start with your first course, and that's throughout the whole house. So you get your tires down and get them leveled on your first course, filled
Right.
with dirt, and then you start your second course. The second course, the tire's going to be in between the bottom two, so it's stacked on top of the bottom two. So everything is staggered that way. It makes it very strong, makes it very stable. So sorry, continue.
No.
Oh, great.
And so the arch, now this is a real challenge to us.
Yes.
We have above this 2x6s, or no, 2x8s, isn't it?
2x6s.
2x6s, okay. They go across, they go on top of one tire to the other. That makes the bridge.
Okay.
Okay, so but that's a straight.
Right.
So to get the
Right.
curve, what I did was I took some OSB and I cut an arch in it. It was square at the top, so it fit right up against the wood, and it secured it, and I had one here and one over here. Then I just took strips of wood and screwed them together across like this all the way, and that made a strength that we could then take wire,
The diamond lath we use.
diamond lath, yeah, and we put that on there, and then we put an adobe into that. We pressed it in
Right.
and let it
Which is difficult on, especially the top, because the adobe wants to fall down on you. So you have to start with very, very small layers and kind of build it up
Right.
that way. Let it
And-
dry in between,
Yeah, exactly.
and then wet it slightly as you build it up. So I had a lot of mud on my head.
Well, it's definitely a labor of love, right? Because it was time intensive, but at the same time, you're just keeping your goal in mind. Off grid, no utility bills, no home loan payments. That's motivating, I think, to people.
Right.
Should they like to take that on? And then the design work is all kind of creative. As you're going, you're saying, I think I'd like to consider doing this.
Well,
And then
yeah.
you just solve that problem as you go along.
And what happened was that, we originally had this as a one-level building. And we ran into, at the far northeast corner, we ran into solid granite rock.
Right.
And so we were told to either blast or make it 2 levels. We elected to make it 2 levels. And we are so grateful we did that, because there is a greater convection system going on.
Right.
And so what happened was that with these 2 levels, we were able to have these openings that if we hadn't put these openings, we'd be going down the stairs and up the stairs to
Right.
each section. And I remember one day we were over there and Laura said, well, Santa, I've got an idea. Let's leave an opening here.
The dog in, excuse me.
Okay.
Okay.
And so we were on one level right here at the time, and the tire was pounded. So we lifted it up on on edge and rolled it and set it in another position. That was, I mean, 400 pounds. You know, that's two little ones trying to do that. But we did it, and that opened up a space all the way through here.
Right.
That we could walk, and we didn't have to go up and down the stairs. But those are the kinds of things that, as a builder, you're going to run into and improvise as you go.
Right.
If you look
Well,
at the,
we don't have to look at problems as insurmountable. If something comes across our path, we can think clearly through it and consider our options and then take the action that is going to meet our requirements the best, you know?
Right.
I'm curious now, Santa, I'm looking here at this area. I wanted to show just the artwork. It's just so beautiful. But what do we have in this room? It looks like there are...
Okay, these are from our land. They're branches, and what Laura did was do a spiral with a router. No, not a router. It was
Those are cedar. I did it with a Dremel.
Dremel, yeah. And so I just drilled holes in the top and in the bottom of the picture frame area, and we just stuck them in there. And these Laura carved a room that what we wanted was a pantry, and so we came up with the idea of bringing a wall out on both sides of this, what we call a U, which is one Earthship section, and then doing a 45 across the front. And as I said before, two swinging doors like bar doors, where you could come in. If you had stuff to carry, you can, you know, you don't have to use your arms. You can carry it in and out without, you know, having to deal with opening a door.
Exactly.
So inside, what we have here is the power unit for the house. This is called an inverter, and these are two charge controllers. We have two separate types of solar panels, so we had to have two separate charge controllers because you can't mix the two together efficiently. Okay. And they both come into the inverter. The inverter takes the power, puts it in the battery, then it takes from the battery, brings it back through the inverter, converts it to AC from DC, and that comes through here and goes into the house.
Okay.
Okay.
If I can come
But
over
did I go too fast?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I'm just trying to use, this is a small flip camera, so I'm trying to
Okay.
give the audience an idea of what you're talking about. Okay.
Okay. So this is the battery.
I'm just going to come over there and look inside your battery box
want me to
here.
get-
No, that's okay. We're
Okay.
good.
This battery is a used forklift battery.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
It's 958 amp hours, so it holds an awful lot of juice. What we have done is we had less panels than the capacity of the battery, so we had to get more panels. We need more panels anyway. So once we've done that, now it stays at around, well, let's look here. It should say, yeah, it's 27.8, okay, the voltage, and usually at the high time of the day it's like 28.3 or 4.
Okay.
So that's really a lot of juice, because these are 24 volt battery system. Okay, so that's how it works.
Great.
So these two lines are from the panels. They come into a disconnect box for protection's sake, and then they go to the charge controllers. Charge controllers bring it into the inverter unit,
Right.
and it goes then into the battery and back into the inverter to be changed into AC, as I said before.
Right.
And then that goes to the house.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. So
But
this is what powers the house.
Exactly.
And you were saying that I'm going to step out of this room for just a minute, Santi, and you were saying that your refrigerator is also run on solar. Is that right?
Well, it's the company is a solar company.
Okay.
But it's an AC refrigerator. They make DC units, but we were fortunate to get this one from friends of ours that opted to get a bigger size. So we bought this from them, and AC, DC, it doesn't matter with refrigerators because you can either direct wire it with DC or have AC from the house. So we didn't want to go through both systems, so we elected to have everything AC.
I see. Okay.
And, the thing of it is, with systems, that are independent of the grid, You can go either way. It just depends upon what's going to work for the person. Okay, this worked for Laura and me.
Well, I'm going to walk into the kitchen real quick just
Yes.
to be able to take a look at this. And Laura, maybe you can
Maybe
tell me a
Laura
little
can
bit
tell you
about
about
it.
the kitchen.
Would you mind telling us about
Well,
the kitchen?
we decided to combine the kitchen and dining room area, so we made these rooms big enough where we could do that.
Where it's all open space, which is just great.
And, we wanted a 3-butt kitchen. That just means you can get 3 people across here. The little house that we were living in, we had a half-butt kitchen, so this is much better, and it's great to have the space. And then here's the dining room. Our refrigerator is actually a solar refrigerator.
Right.
That's a Sunfrost.
Uh-huh.
And I'll just show you briefly here. It's
Okay.
very well insulated. And that's why it works so well. The freezer looks like it would be fairly big, but as you can see, there's a lot of insulation here.
Right.
And that's why it works. So it doesn't use it a great deal of energy in order to run. And anyway, and it's a 12 cubic foot. That's plenty big for us.
Right, because
So-
there's just the two of you.
Right.
So-
Well,
And
with
we're-
our dog.
With your dog, of
We
course.
grow a lot of our fresh food, our salads, and that sort
Right.
of thing. So
And the stove?
the stove is just kind of a standard. It's a propane.
Okay.
It's kind of a standard stove, and anyway, you don't have to get too picky on that. Of course, you don't want an electric stove when you're doing solar. You want some. This is propane, so it's a
Wonderful.
gas stove, which I like better anyway. You have a little bit more control over the heat. So,
Right. Right, so you can conserve even
right.
further.
And we don't use that much propane. I mean, we top off our propane tank every 5 years, so that gives you an idea. We've
Incredible.
got
About
on-demand hot water heater, and
Right.
that actually takes care of our hot water needs, so
Yeah.
it doesn't use a great deal.
We started out, and it was 85%, right, in the propane, and then after 5 years, it was like, what, 60?
Well,
Is
it
that
was
right?
about 52%.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea. We're not using a whole lot of propane.
Right.
And that's a 500-gallon tank. And then the dining room, and as you can see, I mean, we've got plenty of space.
Right.
Incidentally, if I may interrupt, that wall painting of the sunflowers, Laura did.
Laura did
And
that.
That's
That's
a
beautiful.
chalk. or
A chalk.
pastel.
Yeah, it's actually pastels, which work very
Beautiful.
well on these walls. These are all adobe walls,
Uh-huh.
and you know, it kind of connects you with the mother, which is nice. We do have tile on the floor because we wanted something that was easy to clean in
Right.
the kitchen and dining room. So the other floors and the rest of the house are adobe, except for down in the greenhouse. We do have tile down there too.
Right.
So
Well, let me ask you, before we sign off on the interview, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you sharing all of your experience with our viewers, but would you mind telling us what types of problems did you have, and how would you have done things differently if you had a chance to do it over again?
Do we have about 4 more hours?
Well-
I think the main thing was that if you're going to do an Earthship like this, you've got to have a workshop to begin with. We made the mistake of not doing that, and so we're paying for it because our last 2 U's are the workshop. And
Right.
we're kind of, it's a catch-22. We can't clean them out to work on there because the machines are all there. So
yeah,
ideally,
you're going to
if-
accumulate a lot of tools building an Earthship. So,
Right.
you do.
you know, we started out with a few, and now we've got a room full. So
Okay.
it would be advisable to build a shop of some kind where you
First.
have, you know, the space to spread out, put the wood, that type of thing.
Right.
So
And store all the tools, and then you can work more freely in the open spaces.
Some of the tools that are needed for carpentry, well, anybody that's done any carpentry would know. You want a table saw, a radial compound miter saw. You want, planers and so forth. Things like this that you can shape the wood to fit the space.
Uh-huh.
And
we do have
all
one
these.
other room to show you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
If you'd
And
like.
so all these doors, as an example, were done with the tools that I just mentioned.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
On the cabinets.
yes.
Yes. Okay, so we have one final room
We're
to
not quite
take
finished
you
in
there.
here. We still need to put
Well,
in
all these interviews, Laura, they're all works in process, and that's why I've chosen the people that I have, because you can live in a unit off-grid while you're working on it, and that's really the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
So don't worry, I can see that you're still designing.
Do you mind if I talk?
Go ahead.
We have a friend who also built an Earthship.
Uh-huh.
And one of the things she did was add on to the Earthship with a rather large building. But she ordered these 2 doors. They're beautiful doors, French doors. And they're shaped as an arch. And it warped on her. So she called the company and she got a new set of doors. Well, she had the old ones and she gave them to us. So that's what we're going to do here. That's why this is shaped the way it is. I'm going to come up here and cut the curve that's the shape of the door on both sides. And so we'll have the 2 doors, and they're gorgeous doors, that'll fit in here.
Southwestern style, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Southwestern style. Then here, if you see the dowels, that's walnut, and this is pine. I'm going to have a frame of 3 doors down here of walnut that will have some kind of a pattern configured in the center with a tile on a diamond shape in the center. So that's the game plan at this point.
Beautiful.
So there'll be 3 doors here and 3 doors here, and then the 2 big ones covering the closet.
And once again, Laura has
Oh,
done artwork all over this house. It's just absolutely
it's really
beautiful.
Easy to work with the mud, you know, as
Right.
far as doing sculpture
Laura-
and that. So.
Laura did this lion.
Right. I was just showing the viewers.
So, and as you notice, the niches in the wall, those are easy to do because you can work between the tires, and there's a lot of creative things that you can do in an
Exactly.
Earthship. There's another little bathroom over here.
Right.
This is the master bedroom,
Uh-huh.
and we've got a composting toilet in here,
Right.
and a shower and sink, of course.
Beautiful.
So.
I mean, it's so spacious. You don't imagine until you're actually walking in here. There's a shower in here. I'm just showing them the...
And then we have a small living space here. And when we finish the other 2 rooms, we will have a larger living room space. But right now, this is adequate. And our wood stove, that's the only heating that we do in here.
It's more for ambiance, actually.
Yeah, it really, I mean, you really don't have to heat an Earthship.
Right.
But it's
Nice to have a burning
on-
fire every once in a
Yeah,
while.
if you have a cold winter day and no sun, it's nice to have a little bit of extra heat. So, but
Beautiful.
it's totally not necessary. Which
Talking
is-
about
And then all of the windows all the way down the entire expanse of the home, so the
whole
lighting
southeast.
is just incredible.
Right here, we were originally going to have this closet as a divider. It's going to come across here, and then we'd have an arched opening here.
Right.
But we opt to put it against here and just leave the space open.
I love it open.
Yeah.
I think that's just beautiful.
And that's the thing with an Earthship is you really, you know, you have that option. We changed a lot of things, and as you're working on it, it's sometimes better to have more time because you realize that you do want to make changes. You know, sometimes it's a process. You know,
Right.
you kind of realize as you're working with it what you need to do. So I would say it's not always a good thing to rush it.
Exactly.
And
To let things present themselves
Exactly.
and the problems that need to be solved. And you know, one of the things I've been asking, I'm trying to get you both into my little lens here. I've been asking the people who we are interviewing whether or not we have opportunities to come back and talk with you all, and whether or not you would accept inquiries from our viewers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If we can encourage people to become more self-sufficient and fulfill their dreams, that would be fulfilling to us.
Well, that's wonderful. I want to thank you both for granting the interview, and I look forward to sending some people your way who have some questions about an opportunity to build an off-grid Earthship.
Wonderful.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.